The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with a smug energy as alien generals gathered around a holographic display. They sneered at the image of Earth's military archives, zooming in on a rusted relic of a bygone era. A towering alien commander, adorned with shimmering insignias of conquest, leaned forward and scoffed. "Humans cling to ancient relics," he growled, his voice dripping with condescension. "This Gatling gun, a crank-operated device, is their pinnacle of warfare? A toy by our standards? We'll crush them without firing a single plasma bolt." Laughter rippled through the council, their confidence unshakable. Humanity had always been the newest, weakest link in the galactic community. Earth's entry into the interstellar stage was met with barely concealed disdain. For decades, the Galactic Empire's superior technology had rendered planets subservient with little effort. Their plasma rifles, shielded armors, and autonomous drones were decades, even centuries, ahead of Earth's capabilities. While humanity had managed to send a few representatives to the stars, its arsenal was considered laughably outdated. Advanced civilizations exchanged disdainful whispers, calling Earth a living museum. Yet humanity clung to a stubborn streak. The museum's alien generals mocked were curated to honor the history of human innovation and resilience. Still, no amount of pride could erase the harsh truth: Earth stood at a severe disadvantage. Military funding had been stretched thin, and humanity's engineers struggled to reverse engineer even the simplest galactic tech. Earth's leaders had hoped diplomacy would grant them time to adapt. But the Galactic Empire had no patience for weakness. Subjugation was imminent. The invasion was swift and decisive. A fleet of battleships emerged from hyperspace, blotting out the stars as they loomed over Earth's atmosphere. Their supreme overlord, encased in glowing armor, declared the conquest a mere demonstration, a warning to other rebellious species who dared to resist galactic dominance. Drop pods rained down like fireflies, scattering alien troops across Earth's key cities. Their confidence bordered on arrogance. With force fields shimmering and plasma rifles humming, they marched without cover, expecting no resistance. Among the chaos, Captain Marcus took command of a ragtag group of resistance fighters. A veteran with streaks of gray in his beard, Marcus had seen Earth's glory and its struggles. Now, he faced its potential extinction. Supplies were meager. Ammunition was scarce. And modern galactic weapons were an impossible dream. But the resolve of his fighters remained unshaken. "We fight with what we have," Marcus declared. Among the scant arsenal was a peculiar find, a Gatling gun, wheeled out of a museum storage room. Its brass fixtures gleamed faintly, a relic of 19th century warfare. The younger fighters regarded it with skepticism, their modern sensibilities clashing with the sight of such an antiquated machine. Marcus, however, saw potential. "This isn't a relic," he said, patting the side of the weapon. "It's a reminder of what humanity can do when backed into a corner." The Gatling gun was an engineering marvel of its time, capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute. While plasma rifles relied on pinpoint precision, the Gatling gun was all about relentless volume, a deluge of firepower that overwhelmed anything in its path. And in the absence of galactic shields and drones, Marcus believed its sheer simplicity might catch the invaders off guard. As alien boots hit the soil, the contrast between their advanced technology and humanity's desperate defense became painfully apparent. Captain Marcus and his team worked tirelessly, preparing the gun and fortifying a key choke point outside an abandoned city. The aliens underestimated them, their superior numbers and firepower feeding their arrogance. With the Gatling gun mounted and the resistance fighters in position, Marcus stood behind the weapon and surveyed the alien troops advancing in perfect formation. The glimmer of their shields reflected the setting sun, a symbol of the technological gulf between them. Marcus cracked his knuckles and grabbed the crank. His voice, low and resolute, cut through the tension. "They think we're relics. Let's show them what a relic can do." The alien forces advanced with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Their glowing plasma rifles hummed ominously, their ranks moving in lockstep. Shield projectors shimmered faintly, a visible reminder of their unassailable confidence. They encountered no immediate resistance, only silence punctuated by the crunch of rubble beneath their boots. "Typical humans," one alien sneered, inspecting an abandoned barricade of rusting steel and debris. "Their defenses are as outdated as their weaponry." Laughter rippled through the ranks as they marched onward, the absence of opposition further reinforcing their disdain. In the heart of the human stronghold, Captain Marcus stood by the Gatling gun. The weapon had been hastily bolted to a reinforced mount, its metal gleaming under the harsh light of makeshift floodlights. Around him, the resistance fighters exchanged nervous glances. Their arsenal was meager: crates of outdated ammunition, improvised explosives, and makeshift barricades, but Marcus's confidence remained steadfast. He motioned toward the Gatling gun, its crank ready to turn. "This is our line," he said calmly. "They'll learn what we're capable of." The aliens crested the hill overlooking the stronghold, their glowing visors scanning the terrain. When their gaze settled on the Gatling gun, their disbelief was palpable. One soldier barked out a laugh. "What is this? A relic from their ancient wars?" Another chimed in. "It looks like a child's toy. Pathetic." The commanders gave no orders to halt, assuming this primitive defense posed no threat to their superior technology. Marcus's fingers tightened around the crank, his expression unyielding. As the alien forces advanced, he began to turn it. Slowly at first, the metallic groan of gears filled the air. Then, with a deafening roar, the Gatling gun came to life. Its barrel spun furiously, spitting out a relentless hail of bullets. The sound was unlike anything the aliens had ever heard, an unending cacophony of destruction. The first line of alien troops staggered as the bullets tore into them. Their shimmering shields flickered and failed under the onslaught, the sheer volume of projectiles overwhelming their advanced defenses. Plasma armor, designed to deflect energy blasts, proved useless against the raw kinetic force of the Gatling gun's fire. Panic spread through the ranks as soldiers scrambled for cover, their confidence evaporating in the face of the unexpected. The battlefield descended into chaos. Aliens shouted commands in their guttural language, but the noise of the gun drowned out all attempts at coordination. Soldiers fired plasma bolts blindly, their shots ricocheting off rubble as they failed to locate the source of the attack. Some attempted to retreat, only to be cut down as the Gatling gun's relentless barrage followed them. What had begun as a methodical march now devolved into a chaotic scramble for survival. Marcus's team seized the opportunity to amplify the chaos. With precision born of desperation, they deployed guerrilla tactics to further dismantle the alien offensive. Improvised Molotovs burst into flames, forcing alien troops into choke points. Booby traps rigged with explosives detonated amidst the confusion, further decimating their numbers. The Gatling gun's firepower, paired with human ingenuity, turned the stronghold into an inescapable death trap. One alien commander, sheltered behind the smoldering wreckage of a transport pod, watched in horror as his forces crumbled. This was supposed to be an easy conquest, a mere show of force. Instead, his troops were being systematically annihilated by a weapon that should have been relegated to history. He slammed a fist into the ground, his voice trembling with disbelief. "How is this possible?" he roared, his words echoing as the survivors of his once formidable force retreated under the relentless fire. The Galactic Empire, humiliated by the initial failures of its ground forces, escalated its assault. Massive artillery units, bristling with plasma cannons, were deployed to Earth's surface. Towering war machines, their exteriors shimmering with impenetrable shielding, marched alongside squads of heavily armed soldiers. The skies above darkened as swarms of combat drones descended, their laser arrays primed to scour the battlefield. This was no longer a demonstration of power, it was annihilation. The Empire's leaders had abandoned their earlier arrogance, replacing it with cold, calculated fury. Entire city blocks were reduced to rubble in seconds, each plasma strike leaving scorched craters in its wake. The alien troops advanced with mechanical precision, their commanders ensuring no gap in formation. They moved like a tide of destruction, intent on wiping out every last human resistance cell. This was a message to any world daring to oppose the Empire: resistance was futile, and defiance would be met with utter obliteration. Captain Marcus, however, refused to yield. In the face of overwhelming force, his team adapted once again, their resolve hardened by the lessons of each skirmish. The Gatling gun, a symbol of resilience, was no longer confined to a single stronghold. Engineers worked tirelessly, mounting it onto modified vehicles to create mobile platforms of destruction. With these makeshift weaponized transports, the resistance could strike quickly and retreat before the aliens could retaliate. Meanwhile, humanity's brightest minds turned their attention to the alien technology left behind on the battlefield. Damaged drones were captured, analyzed, and reprogrammed. Within days, swarms of these hacked machines were deployed against their former masters. They sowed chaos among the alien ranks, targeting their supply lines and creating diversions that allowed human forces to regroup and strike with precision. The Gatling gun's presence on the battlefield became a beacon of hope. Its thunderous roar signaled not just defiance but a turning of the tide. Human ingenuity transformed what should have been a museum piece into a weapon that stood against the galaxy's most advanced military. Each engagement proved the alien shields were no match for relentless kinetic fire. The sight of the spinning barrels cutting through towering war machines became iconic, a visceral reminder that technological superiority was no substitute for determination and adaptability. News of humanity's resistance spread beyond Earth. Captured footage of the Gatling gun's devastating effectiveness was smuggled into the Empire's outer territories. Oppressed species watched in awe as the relic weapon tore through the seemingly invincible troops. Whispers of rebellion began to ripple across the galaxy. If humanity could stand against the Galactic Empire, perhaps they could too. Back on Earth, amidst the chaos of yet another retreating alien force, Captain Marcus stood atop a makeshift barricade, his voice carrying over the sound of distant explosions. "They wanted a lesson in history," he said, his tone grim but resolute. "Let's make it unforgettable." The Galactic Empire unleashed its final gambit. A colossal war mech, towering like a mountain of gleaming alloy, descended from an orbital cruiser. Its footsteps shook the Earth, its plasma cannons capable of leveling entire cities. Surrounded by elite alien forces clad in impenetrable armor, it symbolized the Empire's last desperate attempt to crush humanity. The Empire's commanders were betting everything on this single, decisive strike. Victory would restore their shattered pride, failure would doom them. Captain Marcus stood resolute, his team prepared for the battle they knew would define humanity's survival. The Gatling gun, mounted on its mobile platform, had been reinforced and recalibrated for maximum output. Every resistance fighter knew their role. This wasn't just a battle of weapons, it was a clash of wills. The mech advanced, its shields flaring as it absorbed missile strikes and small arms fire without a scratch. Alien troops pressed forward in its shadow, firing in synchronized bursts. Marcus barked orders, positioning the resistance fighters to create a diversion. Then, with a calm that belied the chaos around him, he turned the crank of the Gatling gun. Its thunderous roar erupted once more, spraying a relentless torrent of bullets at the mech's shield. At first, it seemed futile. The barrier shimmered, absorbing the kinetic energy without faltering. But Marcus didn't stop. Each turn of the crank poured more force into the shield, its flickering growing more pronounced. The shield finally collapsed with a crackling roar, and the mech was exposed. "Now!" Marcus shouted. Resistance fighters sprang into action, deploying explosives along the mech's legs and torso. The alien forces scrambled to regroup, but chaos reigned. The detonations ripped through the mech's armor, sending it crashing to the ground in a plume of fire and smoke. With their ultimate weapon destroyed, the alien troops panicked. Their lines broke, and what was left of the invasion force fled in disarray. Word of the Empire's defeat spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Footage of the resistance dismantling the war mech circulated, becoming a rallying cry for oppressed worlds. Species long subjugated by the Empire found their courage, rising up against their overlords. Rebellions erupted in colonies that had been silent for centuries. The Galactic Empire, once thought invincible, began to fracture. Its grip on power loosened, the galaxy teetered on the edge of a new era. Amidst the wreckage of the final battlefield, Captain Marcus stood by the smoking remains of the Gatling gun. The once shining brass was now tarnished and blackened, but its presence remained defiant. Resistance fighters gathered around him, their faces tired but triumphant. Marcus rested a hand on the gun and surveyed the horizon. "They called us relics," he said, his voice steady. "But history has a way of repeating itself. And this time, humanity wrote the lesson.